There is a candle in every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit that brings fire, ignites its candle and makes his own. Carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, the tired and weak. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. Yeah. Hallelujah. Once again, this is Devance Ogweno in Devance Empire. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscription button down there and subscribe. Then make sure you click onto the notification bell, that small bell that appears there, to receive an alert of every video we do upload in our YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a short story about my life and the hassles I've gone through in this life to survive. And it's just, we are going to talk. It's story time. Yes. So the stories I'm going to tell you in this video are not, they're personal, but I'm not telling you to tell you that I am mad with anybody. I am not mad with anyone. If at all, I have forgiven everybody who wronged me, and if you feel I ever wronged you anywhere in this life, I also ask for your forgiveness. But today in this video, I think I'm just going to speak my mind without hiding anything, though respect will stand. I respect every one of you who I will talk about in this video. Good. So my father died when I was 2 years old. That is many years ago. I want to give you the exact number of years because some of you might calculate my age, of which I do not want you to know. Yeah, but it's not a secret that I'm on my 20s and I'm still young and strong. Good. So he died at a point when my mothers were not around, so we were just kids and my dad. And when I say mothers, I mean my father was a polygamous man. He had 4 wives, and just as you know, back in my culture, I am a Suba. I come from the Suba community, one of the smallest language speaking communities in our country, Kenya. Suba is found in Lake Victoria in Mfangano Island. I come from an island. We are surrounded by water. Mfangano Island is almost at the central of Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is a big one of the major big lakes in Africa because it covers 3 countries, that is Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. So Mfangano Island is more closely in the border of Kenya and Tanzania. So when I say I'm from Mfangano, sometimes it's like I'm from Kenya, I'm from Uganda, because sometimes this network, sometimes we use Kenyan network, which is Safaricom, and sometimes we use Uganda network, the MTN. Good. So that is where I come from. I am from Suba, so I speak Suba. Though apart from speaking Suba, I also speak Luo language. I also speak English and Kiswahili. So but when my father died, we were staying in Kisii County. That is where I was also born, in Kisii County. He died one night when we were sleeping. I slept in his room, being a last born. My father loved me. I was the favorite one of all. So I slept with him this night in his room. And then in the process of, we went to sleep, but he never woke up. Actually, he slept and never woke up. The only thing I can remember, you know, I was too young to even think about anything, even to know whether somebody is dead or alive. I didn't know he was dead. I was sleeping with him on his cold body, with his hand wrapped on my back because he placed me on his belly, and then tears were rolling down his eyes like he died a sad man. Maybe I don't know what happened, but he just died. He slept and never woke up. So being the breadwinner, by then he had to feed his kids together with the wives. It was too difficult. So after his death, we went back home, Ushago, because we couldn't continue staying in Kisii County to continue paying rent because the bills were too high or too expensive for us. So we went back home and started a new life. But funnily, after the burial, our mothers were, let me say, our mothers were jobless. They didn't have jobs by then, so they couldn't even manage to take care of us because things were tough by then also. Being jobless and you have kids, you have nothing to do. So my sisters together with myself, we were distributed to our different relatives, who most of them were our uncles and aunts, brothers to my father, late father. May his soul rest in peace. I still love you. Yeah, grew up without a father. So we were distributed all around. I managed to go to survive with an aunt of mine, and we went to Nairobi. And I must confess that life in my aunt's place was never easy. Guys, I know what I know you understand how it feels to stay with people who are not your parents, but you want to stay with them, and you also want to live and survive as if you are one of them. There are kids we grew up with. She had kids, and we grew up together in the same place. I grew up not, and she used to tell me one thing that really broke my heart, really tore my heart apart. She used to tell me she would make me call her mom. I knew very well she was my father's sister, but she would make me call her mom. So I used to call her mom, and she used to tell me that my own mother died in this place called Mombasa. By then we used to hear Mombasa. Though I went to Mombasa when I was still young because my father invested in Mombasa. He has some business. He had some business in Mombasa that still exists to date after many years of his death. So that is when I managed to go to Mombasa. Though I do not know anything about Mombasa. I don't know anything up to now. Let me say I've never gone to Mombasa, but I'm yet to go to Mombasa very soon. So she used to tell me that Mombasa is a land of happiness and a lot of fantasy. In Kiswahili we say Mombasa ni mji wa raha, yani kuingia ni raha, kutoka ni matanga. Yani when you go to Mombasa, Mombasa is that place of happiness where if you land, going in is very good, but coming out might be a little bit difficult because you'll be broke. Because you have to spend money to survive in Mombasa. Mombasa has a lot of good activities that really are really good at consuming your money. Yes. So she used to tell me, my aunt used to tell me that my mom went to Mombasa but died. She drowned in some water, in the ocean, and and she just died. So I knew I was a total orphan, staying with her all this while as a total orphan. But I used to call her auntie. Then one day she just woke up and decided to become harsh and cruel and really beat me. She gave me beating of my life because I called her auntie. Can you imagine? So after the beatings, I started calling her mom. Yeah. So I grew up knowing also she's my mom. But I was not so young to think that there was a time I had a mother who gave birth to me. Then there was a time my father died and I found myself living with my aunt. And there was a time I used to call this aunt auntie. And then she later beat me to call her mom. Good. So now I used to stay at her place, but life was so difficult. Life was so difficult. You know, guys, you know what it means staying with people who are not your parents. So after some time, I felt like I couldn't stay in this place anymore. And then one day in the year 2003, I was laying outside in some mattress, in the estate we used to stay. By then we used to stay in Komarok Estate Phase 3. So I was laid down on some mattress in the sun. And then, because the story behind me laying down here was so sad, because I remember my aunt used to beat me up very severely for even a minor mistake. Well, it's not bad to correct your kids, but the beatings I got when I was a young boy, if you were given today, maybe you could have never survived. Severally, I fainted when my aunt was beating me in the name of disciplining me. Every time she would say she's disciplining me, it was never easy. Because let me tell you one thing, guys. The last time my aunt beat me, she left me with permanent marks on my body that up to today I feel ashamed even going to swim, going to a swimming pool, just to because you know what it means to go to a swimming pool. You have to go naked. I'm from the lake. Sometimes you go swimming. You don't necessarily do not have to go swimming in the lake, but in a swimming pool. But sometimes you can even swim at the lake. I cannot take off my clothes because it's embarrassing to see the marks in my back. They look so weird. They are terrible. Those marks always, when I look at them, they bring back the memories of how my aunt really beat me to a point of death. Because in the year 2002, my aunt was celebrating her daughter's birthday, so she organized a birthday party for her second born daughter, and she also invited a few friends to come and celebrate the party with her daughter. So in the process, after singing the birthdays and doing what, all those good things that take place in the birthdays, it came time to leave. So what people were doing, you come in through the sitting room, receive your gifts. By then it was biscuits and popcorns, and then some sweets and candies. Then you leave through using the kitchen door. This was to avoid the confusion. You know, children with sweets and the snacks, their mouth is they are too sweet. They love sweet things. So they had to leave using the kitchen door. So in this same kitchen, my aunt left 2,000 shillings. Guys, my aunt left 2,000 shillings in the kitchen, on the kitchen table. And this is the same kitchen that everybody has to pass through while leaving after the birthday party. After the birthday, everybody had exited the house. Then she notices her 2,000 shillings are lost. The first suspect is me. I don't know why. She suspected that I am the one who took them. And she insisted that if I do not give her the money, the 2,000 shillings that was there, then she will give me the beatings of my life. Now, I even started crying. How was I going to even give... where was I going to... How? Where would I take the money? Many people passed there. But why would she suspect me? Well, everybody, while growing up, has a specific record. I cannot say that I never stole when I stayed with her. Well, there are some few things that I stole. And I stole them because I was of what I was going through in her house. I would literally be denied food in her house. So what would I do? Sometimes I will find some 100 shillings or 50 bob. Actually, if 100 shillings was too much, I will find 50 bob. 50 bob by then, 2002, that was a lot of money. I would go buy bread and just eat. Sometimes I will go buy crisps. Sometimes I will just go buy chips. Chipo muitu. Chipo muitu is these chips that are made by the roadside. To survive. So this specific day, she thought I also took what? Money. And 2,000 was a lot of money. Guys, I tell you what my aunt did to me. I can never forget it today. Because up to date, I look at this mark on my neck. I cannot... My aunt took off my clothes. She took my neck, tied it on the bed, the leg, one of the feet of the bed. You see a bed has four legs. She took a rope, tied my neck to one of the leg of the bed, and then she took my legs and placed them on one of her dining table chairs. So she took the chair from the dining and brought it to the bed, her bedroom, and took my legs and placed on top of this chair and sat on them. Guys, my aunt caned me with this nyaunyo. There is this bladder type kind of cane that mostly are used by police or security guards. It's black and very long, where the handle is very tough, very hard, but the remaining side of it is a bladder that goes thin towards the end. So when somebody canes you, it goes around your body like twice, and then that last tail part is guys, you don't know. That is what she used to cane me. And she saw it wasn't working out well, because having been long, and then the distance of how she has to cane, she was left to cane my back. This back is very ugly. If you ever see my back, the wounds, the scars she left in my body up to today, they will never disappear. But that is for memory. Now, because that cane was not working well, it's called nyaunyo in Kiswahili. It wasn't working well. She went, now in Nairobi sometimes we have water problems. By then we used to have water problems. It's still a problem up to today. She used a pipe, water pipe, to cane me. There are these pipes that we normally use for water, for fetching water. So this pipe, it's an original pipe that they're very expensive even when you go purchase them in the market. This pipe is black in color. Then apart from being black, inside the pipe it has some wires inside. So she cut a small part of it, approximately this size. It was around approximately 50 centimeter long. I think 50 centimeter is shorter, but it was approximately 50 to 60, 70 centimeters long. That is what she used to cane me, and she caned me very hard. Remember, that was in the year 2002. I was barely even 10 years old. She beat me, she caned me with that cane until the bladders were getting cut, and the only things that were left out were those wires. So when the wires will land on my body like this, on my skin, when she brings it up, it comes plaques of meat. So it plaques off my skin and meat from my body. By the time she completed caning me, I was looking like somebody who was involved in a terrible road accident. Blood was everywhere. And then, as if this was not enough, she took spirit. If you know what is spirit, mentholated spirit. Normally, many people identify it with the barber shops. When you go to shave, after shaving, that is what they use on your hair, but to avoid you developing some rashes on your skin or on your head. That is what she took and poured on my back, on the open wounds. The next thing, I woke up when I found myself on her bed, on her matrimonial bed. I think at this point she felt sorry for me, because when she poured that mentholated spirit on my back, I lost my memory. I lost consciousness and I fainted. And then she got a little bit worried, placed me on that bed. After sitting on that bed, I recovered my senses. And what she did, when she asked me, Devance, umeamka? Nikamwambia ndio nimeamka, meaning, are you awake? And I told her, yes, I'm awake. And I don't know what really transpired, and she gave me another hot slap. You know, when I woke up, I didn't even notice the pain in my back. So I was trying to get up from the bed. The slap she gave me on my cheek took me to another process of getting unconscious. I fainted again. So when I woke up, that is when I realized I was in pain. She told me to go bathe, to go shower. I couldn't even shower because I was feeling a lot of pain. Guys, my back, my bum, my buttocks was so painful that I couldn't sit at all. That whole week I never went to school. So 2 days after beating me, I was that kind of a person who will be carried from the house, placed outside in the sun so that my wounds can dry up quickly. And that is when God answered my prayers. So as I was sleeping there, outside there in the sun early in the morning, a lady came walking slowly. This lady was so light-skinned and very, very beautiful. She came and stood next to me, and she was like, she started crying and started asking me, Dev, unanijua? Meaning, Dev, do you know me? And I told her, I don't know you. And I was scared. I couldn't even wake up and run, because in the year 2000, during the millennium period, there used to be a lot of devil worship in Nairobi. So many children used to get lost whenever they went playing. So many parents didn't want their children to get far away, to play far away from home, and we were warned we were strictly warned on talking to strangers. And now a stranger comes to me looking very beautiful, light-skinned, and she started crying. She was asking me,
what happened to your back?
And then I told her, nilipigwa, meaning I was beaten. Why? Because some money got lost in the house, and I was accused that I took the money. How much was it? I said 2,000. The next thing I saw was this woman walk directly into my aunt's house, and the next thing I could hear were quarrels. Well, they were quarreling in Luo language. The languages I speak, that is Luo language. Just as I told you, I am Subanese. I am Suba, and I can speak Luo more fluently than Suba. So there was quarreling and shouting in Luo language, and they were like shouting and saying things like,
you want to kill my son? What's wrong with you? I get my son to take care of, and now things like this are happening. My son is sleeping. What's wrong with him?
And the next thing I remember was, anyway, I don't talk about that. The episodes that transpired that day were very sad. I'm not saying this story here today to make somebody look bad, but the pains I have within my heart, I have to share them out one day with somebody. And if I do not share them out, they'll continue killing me. They're killing me from inside. I am a man, and the only way for a man to survive is by sharing out his problems. Nowadays we are big people, and when we share our problems, we're not sharing our problems because we are looking for trouble or we are looking for grudges. No. They are gone stories, and I am holding no grudge with anyone. These are gone stories, but I'm just sharing them out so that people can know that in this life, it's full of ups and downs. It's never flat. Life is made of good things and bad things. So when we bring the good and bad together, then we know what life is. We know what life will give us. So I'm not telling this story to make somebody look bad, but just to find a way just to let go everything out of my heart. That woman, light-skinned lady who was looking very beautiful, who came and started crying before me, that was my mother. After very many years since my father died, that was the first time again I saw my mom. And it was a good experience. And that meant that I had to go back home to stay with her. So I went back home and with her after some time, because when she came, she took me to one of my uncle's houses. This uncle of mine, the wife is a doctor. So this doctor, or let me call her aunt, she admitted me to a hospital where I got treated. She treated me for some time until I got better. When the wounds were at least feeling better, covered up a little, the pain was not so much because of the good medication she gave me. I said thank you so much. So I went home. After going, we went home with my mom back in Fangano Island. Guys, do you know what? By this time, I used to stay with my aunt in Nairobi. I wasn't alone. She had other 3 kids. Do you know, amongst her 3 kids, I was the only one walking with the torn pair of clothes. My uniform were torn. Literally torn. Torn nyuma in the buttocks. There were 2 round circles. Yet, that was the cloth I used to go with to school. Of which the school I used to go once in a while. I was ever late for school. I can't remember the number of punishments I did because I was late. You can imagine. And I'm in Nairobi. Torn uniform. Not that they couldn't afford a good pair of uniforms, but that is where life placed me. When you are an orphan, staying with somebody who's not your parent, sometimes it's very difficult. So I went back home. My mom's still jobless. She couldn't take care of me. She took me to one school called Gethsemane. Gethsemane Garden Christian Center was a school that was founded by His Excellency Honorable Naftali Mata, one person from the island who had the passion, who had the vision to help people in this island. Now this island, in Lake Victoria, Mfangano, things had been happening. The rate at which people, especially the young generation, had been dying because of HIV and AIDS was too high. Many parents died of HIV and AIDS and left most of their children orphans. So many got orphaned, many remained orphaned, and they had nowhere to go. And especially the girl child ended up getting married to fishermen. By then the rate of HIV and AIDS was too high because of fishermen. Fishing is a major economic activity in my place. So when you are a fisherman by then, you will be considered as a rich man. So many girls would end up getting married early so that to avoid that suffering. And these fishermen, because they were very rich, most of them were mostly involved in prostitution. So many girls went into marriage at young age, not knowing that there is a disease called HIV and AIDS that is literally consuming people in this island. So because of that fact, this man, Honorable Naftali Mata, I call him Honorable because he was once a minister. He was of education, or for education in Nyanza County, Homa Bay County. So he's a guy I respect, because if it were not for him, I don't know where I could be today. So this man came up with the school to help orphans, especially those who are victims to HIV and AIDS, most of which their parents died of HIV and AIDS, and some of them, some of the kids we had in this orphanage, some of them were HIV positive because they were born with the virus and their parents died, because by then in 2002 even the cure of this disease was literally unknown. There were no medicine. Actually, in my place, people thought HIV and AIDS was a curse, that when you had HIV and AIDS you were cursed and you had the consequences of being cursed were to die. They call it chira, that when you do something wrong, then you get this disease called chira. It's HIV and AIDS. So Naftali Mata took me into this school in the year 2003. On 20th January, I got admitted to this school in class 3.
Kama si Yesu kuwa upande wangu, dunia ingenimaliza. Mana shida nimeiona sana, nikashindwa nilikosea wapi. Niliumizwa na wapendwa nilodhani wangenisaidia, kuchekwa, kudharauliwa, kudhulumiwa na wanadamu. Hivi nilivyo mimi sio ujanja wangu, ni Yesu, haleluya.